I'm here with Mr. Dillion Douglas. The main event this weekend versus Daire Toman. This is a fight that's been ran back since the amateur days, which was a draw. It was your last amateur fight, I believe. It's fight week. I want to thank you so much for your time because I know fight week, even though you calm down from the training, there's still a lot to be done within that week, whether it be weight and that. So I do appreciate your time. How are you feeling? What does fight week look like for you nowadays?
Uh, lightweight's lightweight's strange. Obviously, what the past 2 years I fought twice. Year before that I fought twice. Strange. It changes sort of as people change. I find that since I've put on a bit more sort of muscle mass, a bit more size, I can sort of keep hard training up until maybe obviously the day I'll not be hard training. That'll be me sort of tapering off now, just to sort of keep sort of moving really, not really needing to break a sweat or anything. My weight's sitting perfect. So uh there was no worry at all this whole fight camp about weight, which was a really strange thing. Sort of floated about between 73 probably at the start and then just tapered down nice. So yeah, I can just sort of chill out and enjoy myself now and actually enjoy the hard part of it before the fun part.
Yeah, because I can imagine, obviously, with training so hard for so long, how hard is it to just shut off? Obviously, you've had a good few professional fights, you've had a lot of amateur fights. Um, is that something you've learned to be able to just kind of shut off for the past couple of days? Because a lot of the younger fighters, the amateur fighters I talk to, still their minds racing. They want to train, they want to be in there. Like, how is it for
Mhm.
you to be able to shut that off? And is that something you just kind of got accustomed to with time of doing what you do?
Uh, don't get me wrong, the whole way through the fight camp has been good. Like everything, like I've never turned off in that sort of formal way. Like I'm still not turned off, but I know I've learned sort of over the years how to turn that little switch just to go right, go to bed, don't overthink it. Like whenever I was an amateur, I used to like literally like 6 weeks out of my fight, be sitting in bed, sitting thinking and thinking and thinking, and then my heart starts racing. Not in that I was scared, that I was sort of thrilled to get in, thrilled to do it. As I sort of go older, I can sort of set that by a bit. Maybe think of something else, listen to an audiobook while I try to sleep, stuff like that sort of just eases me into it a little bit more. But no, man, just rare. Like right now, sitting talking about it, nobody has really asked me how I felt, which my partner doesn't ask me at all because she's asked me that much with other fight camps. She's been, 7 years in with me. She doesn't ask. Couple of guys in the gym obviously ask how am I feeling, how am I doing with it, and I'm like, I fucking love that shit, man. Like that's is that's the big one now. So this is starting to come up for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, it's obviously against Dara, who you fought before, but you know yourself, and you see in time, and it just happens naturally over time. Fighters get better and they progress and they get different. Obviously, you've got better, he's got better, and you might look like two different fighters than you did previously.
Mhm.
When this matchup kind of came about, was it one that excited you because of the draw in the last fight?
Yeah, I was meant to happen in 2020, but COVID set that one back. So me and Dara were both a couple of weeks out. I think I was at what's I remember whenever it was called. It was I think the Fight Project 2. Uh, I think that was never it was the first show done by Stealth, if I remember right. Like, yeah, it was first show done by Stealth. It's the first Fight Project. I think this was done by RMK. So I was sitting, warming guys up, doing the bits and bobs. Message came through. Show got postponed, and I'm sort of sitting there like, man, I just sunk every bit of money I had into this. 'Cause just before that, I'd bought Jordan Mayers. Uh, that was August 29th, 20, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, I think it was. 2020. 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020, 2019. No, 2019. But no, it's definitely so it was something that was meant to happen. But man, it's I don't know how we've changed. Obviously, I haven't really kept an eye on a lot. Daire's doing brilliant, obviously, with New Era and stuff. There's a lot of cracker guys coming out of his gym. A couple that I've obviously judged whenever I've worked on that. Haven't got the chance to see. Is it Jamie? Am I right?
Jamie
Out of his
McCarthy.
gym. Yep, I haven't got the chance to see him live, which I'll not probably because it's only a couple of fights before me and the Daire fight. I've seen is it Mick as well. I've seen him fight banger athlete. So he's pulling out some great guys. And obviously their varying styles. Me and Dara is not really the tallest, so we sort of meet in that weird middle of both wrestling sort of styles. But man, it makes no difference. Like we go in, we do the thing, and we just get it done with.
Yeah, no, and I can't wait to see the fight. And I watched your fight with Maga, and I'd looked at you before, and I'd watched the stuff. That was a split decision, and that was a tough, close fight. Like when you came up to lightweight for that, which is quite a bit out. So one, fair play to you for coming up and taking a fight like that, because I know Maga's coming down. I know Maga quite well, so I know Maga's coming down. You were coming up. How did you find that fight? How did you find it? Because you hit like someone who would fought at that weight class anyways, because you caught him a couple of times as well.
Yeah, it was sort of going back to like old amateur days. Amateur, I think what was it? I think the highest I fought was 84. Made my way down to 77, made my way down to 70. Last three amateur fights were at 66. And I found it was quite big then, but no, coming up the fight just previous to that, was out of shape and had fought Leon Hill, lost by TKO. Great guy too. And then coming up to Maga, it was might have been Michael Quinn was meant to fight Maga, if I remember right. Don't remember how I got the shout. I think I was just in training one day. And Rod sort of shouted, was there anybody sort of sitting around so and so? And I was like, I'm sitting at 71 here. That'll do it. So yeah, we were in fight camp, but we weren't in fight camp for the right thing. Not like this before the fight with Maga was even announced. We were in sort of camp. We wanted it was a running joke in stealth. And it's completely true. I love burpees with a passion. So we were going to try and beat the burpee world record in a minute. So we're sort of messing about, prepping for that, and going, yeah, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go near Christmas, and then I can just enjoy Christmas. And then the fight came, so that sort of threw that off the scale. But no, whenever I went to my Maga, I don't know if it was my ego sort of got to me, but I remember looking at Maga and going, he's not that big. He's not that big. And then looking at the photos after and going, he is huge. And then he fought. Obviously, we had a couple of guys at the last year. And he was main event against, was it Jess Paulo?
Yeah.
Man, I'm pretty sure, see, if Maga would have came out the same way that he came out at Jess Paulo against me, he'd have smashed me so much easier. Don't get me wrong, I thought I edged the fight just by damage done, but it's one of those things, I shouldn't have left it at that. But if somebody was going to beat me, I'm quite happy it was Maga. He's one of the loveliest guys, and I really wish him anything but the best. Like, just sound guy, but he is so big for a lightweight.
Yeah,
He's far too well fed.
he is like when he fought Jesse, he came out the gates, didn't he? I was like, whoa. And then he
Man,
made one mistake, and that's what it was. But you talked about obviously when he leaves stuff to the judges, obviously you judge and you do that stuff yourself. How do you find sitting on that side as well and doing the judging? Do you think it gives you more of an understanding as a fighter about what's being scored and what could potentially help your game to get decisions to edge in your favor? Have you found that beneficial to transfer over to your fighting career?
yes, but Rodney has it drilled into you. You don't leave it at that. You never leave it. Like there's fights I've seen, obviously, like UFC is a prime example. There's fights you go in, you look at it going, that wasn't right, that wasn't right. But again, every judge scores it slightly differently. There's not a slight bias in what fighter it is, but a slight bias in the way it's judged. The way it should be done is obviously damage done, who's looking to finish the fight, then control, then cage control and aggression. So depending on how you look at it that way. But no, Rodney has it drilled into us from years and years ago. Whenever we were obviously about 16 and that, you go in to finish a fight. You don't go in to win the judges' scorecards. Like, if you go out, you are winning the fight and you get caught, man, that happens. It's just you might have took your eye off the ball. They might have just had that last bit in them whenever you were going for stuff. But no, I never sort of think along the lines of, yeah, I'm gonna go and, lie down on somebody for 3 rounds and get the win because I haven't done any damage. Like there's guys that works for it. It's not for me. I'd rather go out my shield and just, try and make a good fight out of it and get the win. Get the win without having to go, yeah, the judges all, 3 other people thought I won, and saves the whole argument too. Because that one, whenever me and Daire fought previously, we're going by damage and fight finishing. I did more damage. He's going for more subs, but Daire had far better control on the ground. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's don't leave it there. I try not to think about that at all. Obviously, it's same way as going to 2 different jobs. One job you worry only about what that is. The other job you worry only about what that is. So no, I wouldn't think of it in that line of questioning. I wouldn't go out of the way to go, yeah, I'm going to think about how I'm going to win points this round. Ask for my corner team to think about if need be.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. But go back, obviously, you've been around quite a while. Talk to me what got you into MMA at the time, because MMA right now, obviously, is really hot in the country. It's really hot globally because of the likes of Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, all these kind of people who kind of brought it to the forefront. When you got in, it wouldn't have been viewed as the way it is now. What brought you to MMA, and most importantly, what brought you to the gym that you're in as well?
Gym wise, I was a 14-year-old, really, really overweight. I want to say I was about 5'1". I want to say that I haven't grew too much over the years. If anybody asks, I'm 5'8". If my partner asks, I'm 6'1". But no, I had started whenever I was 14. I think I was sitting well over 100 kilos, or so about somewhere around 16 stone. So I was definitely an out of shape kid. Started off just as, something fun to do, you lose weight. Next thing I know, I had a gym membership, in a standard commercial gym whenever I was 16. Next thing I know, I'm sort of going, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm starting to, do well. Then obviously with Rodney at the time, because there wasn't a lot of names known, but because Ballymena is a very, not small town, but be a fairly decently sized town. Everybody knows sort of certain names in the town, and you always hear everybody talking well Rodney. So like I'd never had any interest in boxing, never had, any interest. I definitely never had any interest in football. It just never clicked with me. Again, MMA, started training, I started subbing a couple of guys that ragdolled me whenever I was in beginners class, and I'm sort of going, here, maybe this is for me. Obviously the weight started to come down again. We're going way back. It's not actually on Tapology or anything from what I know. I think it was 84 kilo I fought Will Flurry. So that's going back 20 years.
Wow.
That got took to decision. Uh, for Richie Crosdale, I think, 84. Then moved down to 77. When did I move down to 77? Can't remember when, but I had a few fights at 77. And then started making my way from 77 down to 75, 72, 70. So I'd fought I think at 70, I had fought, try to think of the whole sort of names that sort of started. So I think there was 6 fights in a row I was unbeaten before I went pro, all between 77 and 66, and it was, who did that start with? James Boyle over in Scotland, uh, which was a funny story. So me and James both are from here. I think he's retired now, if I'm right. Me and James are both from here, and we were meant to go over a fight in Scotland where it was on the day weigh-in. So we both sort of, I was walking at 70 at all times anyway. So we both our guys pulled out, so we both knew, and we just sort of said, here, but we just have a toss up in the middle of Scotland, and we were both fight prepped. So we went out, had a toss up. I subbed James in the third, then went on to fight JR Campos, took him to split decision, won, fought Hugh Gleason for the Clan Wars lightweight belt, won it with first round sub, and then George Courtney was meant to fight in Golden Ticket for a 4-man tournament, but he had to pull out with something. So I thought, right, the hell with it, my time. I'll take it. If so George had offered me at first because he didn't want to just pull out and not get the option to anybody. So I said, yeah, the hell with it, I'll take it. So I fought a brown belt, I think it was, Ben Robson from Wales. Fought him, subbed him the second way guillotine. And then went on, took their featherweight title 2 months after fighting a guy, Mike Promeny, subbed him the fourth. After that, I had to take from, I think it was January until end of January until start of June, I had to take it off completely. There was a lot of stuff going on. So couldn't train, couldn't really do anything, put on a pile of weight again. So that put me up to, I think, back up to about 82 kilo or something, somewhere around there. So January, February, March, April, May, June. So from June till July, August, September, October, like 5 months, I had to get from 80 kilo down to 66 again to fight Daire, and that was all 2018. So 2018, I only had that one fight. And then it's a fight that leaves sort of that bittersweet sort of taste in my mouth too. Not just because of the fight, we ended up, while that fight was ongoing, my aunt was in hospital, but we didn't know the severity of it. She knew the severity of it. The doctors knew, but they didn't tell us until after the fight. And she was a really, like, she came over 4 fights. Like, she's originally from here, lived in England, Ipswich. She travelled the whole way from Ipswich to Wolverhampton twice to watch me fight. So the severity of that sort of put a whole, that left that bittersweet sort of taste in my mouth. And obviously went pro after that, but no, that was so sort of strange to talk about that. I haven't talked about that in years. Yeah, so that's sort of how the whole sort of twist about me starting MMA was. It was weight loss, turned out I liked it, turned out it was alright at it, and then turned out it was good at it.
Yeah, no, it's your amateur career is kind of like recently you'll come in these fights last minute. You go to Scotland on a day, you'd have the toss up, 4-man tournament. Yeah, why not? It just shows that you are a true fighter at heart, and it just shows what it done for you, like personally, with the likes of the weight loss and stuff like that. And sorry to hear about your aunt as well, because that obviously, it like you said, it's kind of bittersweet. But like in the time that you've been in MMA since you started, have you seen, like, what kind of evolution have you seen, whether it be talent, training, weight cutting? Like, have you just seen this stuff? If you went back to when you actually started to now, would you think it's kind of two different worlds the way things are going on?
Football and soccer, that's a perfect example of it. It's it's the same sport, but it's not the same. Yeah, 110. So back years ago, it used to be salt baths were a thing, but it was more focused. They weren't really spoke about, they weren't really understood. Water loading wasn't really understood. Calorie counting wasn't really understood. Everybody thought it was all carbs and, fats you couldn't take, like stupid stuff. You used to see guys cutting weight in the gym with sauna stuff on, shadow boats and 4 days out, to break a sweat. You're sort of going, that looks horrible. But the talent wise, like we stood by it. The way we used to train made us the fighters we are. But that at the time was maybe 1 in 1,000, was going to make something. Whereas now maybe it drops to, maybe 1 in 3,000, 1 in 5,000, somewhere around that. Because a lot of ones coming up now obviously aren't as, you know, they're pandered a wee bit more. Like whenever we were in training, you went in on a Monday to 2 hours of straight and Tuesday 2 hours of wrestling after kettlebells. Wednesday was BJJ. I usually went weights. So the way I did it was found out I absolutely love the hex bar because of this. So there was me at 16, I think that's 90% of where my legs came from. Rodney letting us do that at 16. But we didn't know any better. Nobody knew any better. So we went and did legs on a Wednesday. Then any BJJ. I never did that. I did it the opposite way. I went an early morning, 8K, and then went to tech at the time. And then left tech half day, went to do weights with Rodney and that. We always did legs. I absolutely loved that. Thursday was 2 hours of grappling. Friday was the hell day. Friday you ran rods at 11 o'clock to do pads. From pads, you went straight from pads up to the gym to do legs. From there, you went home for a bit, you had a bite to eat, then you went straight into sparring. You went to bed. The next day, you woke up, you went straight into sparring again. So that's what I mean. We look at it, and Rodney's adamant, like nobody probably should have been doing that, but we didn't know any better. But that's the way the pros would have trained. The amateurs train like the pros. Nowadays, we have a lot of amateurs coming up that are training like, obviously, the likes of me and, any other high level, like Chloe and stuff like that. We're all training like pros. The amateurs are training like pros. So, what do the pros need to do more of to, change that whole game plan? But like technical wise, we have guys like Connor McAllister, couple of the young teams coming up are starting to get really, really slick in the mats. We have obviously Chloe, we have Stuart Graham, if we can talk him back into it again. I think he's just getting old. We'll not tell him that. You have Nicky Gordon, you have oh, can't remember all the names off the top of my head. It's not a fun thing you have to do. But you have those guys coming up and you're sort of going, yeah, they're different than what we were. Whenever we were coming up, like it's me, Reese, Mark, uh, so we're looking at sort of that there and going here. What's the next game plan going to be? Because for a year that was, a heavy striker was 9 times out of 10 winning the fight. Then a guy with great BJJ was always winning the fight. Then it was wrestling was winning the fight. At what point is it going to switch back around again and go, yeah, now it's the strikers winning the game because he can stop the wrestling? At what point then does it go, right, a striker's getting beat by a BJJ guy off his back? That's the way I always look at it. It's like fashion. Fashion always rolls back around. Uh, what was the jogging bottoms people used to wear? Poppers. They were out of style. They came back again. Now they're gone again, but they'll be back because that's the way fashion is. Fashion's MMA. MMA, whatever isn't working, people regress back to better techniques with the older style, and it'll just keep recycling itself. At some point, it'll be uh somebody, obviously very rarely to come along, somebody that's just great at everything. But that's the goal, is to be outstanding at everything, be a master of all trades and jacking on.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like that, the likes of yourselves, Mark, Reese, and all kind of paved the way for these fighters and be able to do what they do now. And you kind of led the way. So it's good that you're able to see them grow in the gym. Chloe's one person that you mentioned that I think this year, I think she's probably one of the most improved fighters I've seen. I think she has just looked absolutely sensational for someone who's only, what, 2 years in the game, 2.5 years, three maybe.
Run
She's just
about that.
grown immensely. And it just goes to show what the likes of Rodney, yourself, and everyone are doing in the gym with her as well. But it's going forward. Obviously, you're not looking past Daire. Are you looking to be a little bit more active than you have been? I know obviously there was COVID and all the past couple of years. Are you looking to really go at again this year? And yours a show you fought on twice now in the past year. Is that another? How have you found dealing with Decky and fighting on that show? Because from all accounts, from what I hear from everyone, he's probably one of the easiest to deal with, and the show just runs the way it runs.
Yeah, next year's going to be a big year. I think it was me, George Courtney, and Stuart Roll talking after the last year. Like there's certain shows I won't touch now, just because I don't like the way they're run. I really don't like the way they're run. So there are shows obviously I'm very adamant I will fight on because like Akuma's a fantastic show too. Stevie does a great job of that. The thing I look at it is he, well, I don't know if he's retired or not. But I'll say as not retired. So he is a fighter. He knows what a fighter needs. He knows how it's run. He knows what he likes behind the backstage. Like there's ways Deck the exact same. Deck is phenomenal to fight for. He looks after you, man. It's that's what I mean. Not many other shows. Chaos and our great show as well. Really well run. So like, oh, hold on, I think I word this. Aye, that was it. So Deggy, a lot of shows probably wouldn't have done a 68 catch weight. Truthfully, a lot of them wouldn't have done that. Deggy looks out for the fighters, so me and him have had talks after, obviously. I fought Maga. He wanted me to move back down to 66. He said he would look into it. Came back to me, said, "Yep, we'll get you 68." It wasn't about me, pushing for it. Deggy looks out for the fighters that he is trying to match. Looks out for you anytime he can. He's not pestering you about ticket sales or this, that, or the other. He's a really well-rounded sound guy. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely raging that I'll not get to see Kieran Brady fight. Like, that's a fight I really want. I wanted to see him fight. So I'm sort of peeved I won't get to see that one. But that's one of the things we just had to deal with on that side. But yeah, 110, be more and more and more active next year. No more tossing about, the higher weight class. Definitely make the move down to 66. And stay around there. We were looking at 61, but I think that is a far throw from now. Maybe whenever I was 21, I could have had it, but definitely not now.
So I like that. You fought Maga at 70, it's going to be 68 now. It's all coming down in increments. When you go try to do the big jumps, sometimes, like you talked about before, having to cut loads of weight and then it's not coming off. And I think you've talked about your weight being okay and you kind of feel really good for this one. Like the weight's
Mhm.
nearly on point. I think when you're killing yourself, okay, it might give you a bit of a size advantage coming into the fight, but how much does it take away from your cardio, mentally, all those other things? So obviously, step by step, I think is potentially the best step. I don't know. I'm a fighter. You would tell me more, but I want to thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed this talk. Hopefully, we get to have one again. If you're going to be fighting again next year, I'll definitely hit you up for another interview. Is there anything you want to say before you go, or anyone you want to shout out? And like I said, I appreciate your time this close to the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously a lot of sponsors and stuff at my gym, so I'll start that. Rodney, Stuart Graham, George Courtney, Connor McAllister, Chloe, Matthew Friel. There's so many guys I can't, I want to think out of that gym. Guys and gals, depending how you, every way. don't want to be sexist. So what I thank them, what I thank, all the coaches out at Stealth as well. They've been absolutely phenomenal. Like the likes of Race, Mark, Lev, so on and so forth like that. My partner deserves a big shout out. She has put up with some amount of so and so from me. Especially whenever the fight was released, she thought I knew about it, but I didn't know about it whenever it was released. I did, I knew it made inklings, but because they obviously kept us up to date on that. But no, we were down in Dublin. She was doing her cut course with JS, which again, great bunch of folks there. But yeah, sponsor wise, first and foremost, obviously the longest run sponsor I think I've had since I was 16 or so, since my first actual fight. Patsy's Barbershop. She's one of the nicest women in there. She's worked her whole life. She just has a great, down to earth person. So she's been the longest running. I'd like to thank Stealth, obviously, and our sort of long running sort of relationship there from obviously the RMK days. Transitioned into Stealth, moved completely away from that. And then my other sponsors, the likes of Two Swords Tattoos, great folks there. Logan and Ballymena, they wouldn't push anybody else to go anywhere else. Everybody in there, great crowd. They've done a great lot of work with it. Sparing, a fairly new one that I've got. Sparing Logistics. Again, really looked out for me this whole camp, helped me with, paying bills, sort of stuff like that, like bloods, medical, stuff like that. Really can't fault them. They do a lot of sort of higher end work and yachts and stuff. So they would do like the computerized side of that. And the final one is Oakwood Bullbreeds. Again, great bunch of folks. They don't just breed to breed. They will make a point of checking up on the dogs, weekly, and make sure the dogs are well looked after. If they're not, they will deal with that as need be. And honestly, you would never, have somebody. I would never recommend you ever get a dog if you're looking to start a breed a dog. 110 are the best big puppers. And then